fine. 10:30 right. I think I'm not too. Kind of feel bad about not setting like a hard time and saying like amorphous times. Probably next time. Right. Alright, so which game do you want to look at? Alright, I can just share the screen. Alright, so what's your MMR? Alright, I'll just write down Crusader for. Hold on, I need to get a pen. Okay. And you mostly play carry? Alright. So I play a lot of mostly one, as we've discussed. I've been playing a bit of offlane lately, just when I don't get my role, but there's role queue now, so I've just been doing that and playing one position. It's a bit rough around the edges, the role queue. Yeah. I mean, my games already took like 10 to 15 minutes. So it's not like biggest deal in the world. I just play a game while I'm waiting. I'd much rather get my role. I think your starting items are fine. The only thing is, a lot of times people are starting with the 2 mangoes. Just because you can, and it's just a lot of value laning stage with the HP regen and what's that? Oh right, yeah, they were a little bit too expensive for what they provided before. Yeah, that little bit of regen comes in handy as well. You pretty much see like all pro players on side lane heroes just getting like 2 mangles to start with. Alright, so right now the lane equilibrium's out of whack. There's not really much you can do since it's a dual lane. So you can't, like right when it's starting to get out of whack, what you have to do is auto attack deny. But when you're against a Monkey King +1, it's just going to right click you. Kind of difficult to auto attack deny like that, so get the lane back into a better spot here. You pretty much just need to auto attack it. Yeah, you pretty much want it close to the tower, but it's also important that it's possible for you to get to this side shop without taking too much harass. Like ideally you hold it like their range creep, like right around here. Right here, getting as many denies and last hits as you can. But against in a dual lane versus dual lane scenario, you don't really have to worry about the lane too much. But it's really important if you're like, say it's just a solo offlaner and you've got a disruptor who can just spam his first spell. That's when it becomes important for you to not mess up the equilibrium. Like trust me, I'm getting to a point here. So I want to go back and show you how it got to this point. Like, because right here it's probably still pretty fine. But it really started from right at the beginning. So the way it ended up getting blocked, um, pretty much all 4 of your creeps are just hitting one of theirs, which isn't good for the first wave. Because now you've got to make a choice. You know, which one are you going to get, the deny or the last hit? The answer is get the deny. Just because it starts the level advantage in lane. And I'd say Jug plus Disruptor is definitely stronger at level 1. So you can afford to really get up here and use your regen to try to get as many denies as you can. Wait, what did you want to make the focus of this? Just in general? Yeah, I think we heavily focus on the laning stage for this session, just because the laning stage is just so important. The amount of every deny that you get just so important in this patch and in the few previous ones. Ever since they changed it from 50% to 25, I think there was some kind of in between, but just in the current state, the denies are so important. So right here, you should have gone, yeah, you should have gone for the deny here. And now you're going on Ricky. So what that's going to do is it's going to draw aggro on their creeps. So at this point, because you guys did that move and you weren't going for the denies initially, already they've got 2 melee creeps at about 60%, and yours are uh, combined at like 95. So it's just going to push from here on. And the fact that Monkey King has Primal Spring instead of Jingu Mastery just mean and since he nuked the wave here, there is still time to auto attack down these. And I'm not saying like always go for the Dunai over the last hit every single time, but what I am saying is in a position where the creep equilibrium is going to be so important, you definitely don't want it to be here. Because Monkey King can just come and right click you and get Jingu Mastery stacks. Right, so you still had an opportunity to fix this at this point. To identify a point where it gets out of control, which is probably going to be when this wave comes. It looks like you are auto-attacking the wave down a bit here, but it's not enough. There's times where you were just waiting to attack when you really shouldn't have been. And because of that, this creep isn't going to die. Now what you could have done here is draw aggro off of this Monkey King onto your range creep. But already it's still 5 creeps versus 4, so if you can get one of these range creeps to die immediately, it's still fixable here, but at this point you just need to be killing your disruptor. Yeah, like at this point, before the 15-second mark, if the wave is messed up, this is when the first pull should be the first time where it's possible. If it's messed up, that is. That shouldn't just be a pull right at 115 the first time it's possible. If the wave is fine and it's slightly pushing into you, like this position is okay, but the fact that you got the extra creep is just going to throw the entire equilibrium out of whack. And one thing that you got to do, like say you told this disruptor to pull, and right now he's just waiting for the wave to appear. What you can do is play up on this Monkey King by trading with him while you have the creep advantage, which is I think what you're doing. It's just kind of difficult because Monkey King can just walk back since he's melee, but he's got double the range of a normal melee. But anytime he's within the 500 radius of creep aggro, which is also the same range as a ranged creep, you should just be right clicking him since he doesn't have his Jingu up yet, just to get as much harass as possible. And I don't think this is right. Yeah, they shouldn't have +2 here. Yeah, see, he's 1 armor. This is a replay bug. He's only 1 armor right now. And your armor's 5. So anytime you're trading with him, you're just winning since he doesn't have these stacks. Especially with this creep advantage. Even if he had more creeps than you did. The fact that he doesn't have a stout shield, and you have a tango and a salve, as well as the mango, just means you should be right clicking him as much as you can. But if the equilibrium is just like if it's not under control, and it's just barely under your control, you shouldn't be going for trades. But in this case, where it's already out of control and you've got creep advantage on him, that's when you start going for trades again. So it's like, you want to be going for trades if it's in either one of the extremes. Like it's if it's extremely pushing into you, just because you've got such an armor and tank advantage, as well as the regen advantage. But also, you're always going to want to trade if you have creep advantage. Alright, so we'll continue. And what you're going to need to do against heroes like Monkey King or Axe or something where it's difficult for a melee hero to just walk up to the wave is you just pull aggro to get last hits. I'm not saying do it right now, because pulling aggro to get that last hit on that ranged creep isn't going to. But just look at how much damage this Monkey King is doing, or is taking rather, with no stout shield and fighting into the creeps. I think you haven't really been right clicking him that much. It's just been the disruptor and the creeps and his nuke. And he took almost all of his HP. Yeah. So in this lane against Monkey King, it looks like you're going to rush out the boots first, which is good. But I would have gotten Quelling Blade to secure myself some extra CS. Like with the... Yeah, you should have had Quelling Blade already. I think you might have had an opportunity already to go get it. But that Quelling Blade, every CS that you get, like, it's just so worth it. I don't know if you neglect it often. Do you? Okay. Well, hopefully you get it here. Okay. Alright, so here's a good spot where taking creep aggro would be good. The wave's quite pushed up, so what you want to do, take creep aggro, is just using the range creeps as a guide. Just walk up, back, pull back. They'll follow you for, I think, 2.5 seconds, or 3. You can brush up on that. But essentially, you don't want to attack until you're within range because there's a cooldown. So you gotta walk up by not clicking on him, and then once you're in range, you click, and then you walk back. And make sure you're watching if one of these creeps is low and they're getting attacked by a range creep, so you can go in for the attack if they're going to die if you don't. Yeah, see, if you drew aggro, it would have been like this. The monkey didn't even get the deny there, but if you drew aggro there, you reduce the possibility that he gets the deny, and you also increase the chance that you're getting in the last hit. So right here, it's fine that you're trading with him. Because he doesn't have the stout shield and he's running low on regen, and he still have full regen. The only thing is, he's got a range advantage on you and he's got a slight move speed advantage. So it's kind of difficult to try to make this trade. And you are fighting into 3 creeps when he only has 1 here. So you do have, yeah, you do have to take into account the move speed difference, even without the boots. Because if this Monkey King is just running away and you're running at him, you're just never going to really catch up, since he's got 4 speed than you do. The only thing is, if this Disruptor casts Kinetic Field already, but if he casts it at this point, in order to attack Monkey King, you'll have to go in tower range. So, what I'm saying is, when there's this many creeps and you're just not going to get an auto attack off, you're not really going to want to do something like this. Maybe what you can do is just let these creeps attack this creep and bait him in for him trying to go for the last hit, and then you can get a few auto attacks off and maybe even get the deny, since Jug has such a low BAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can bait this creep in order to get some harassing. Yeah. So he's just getting completely zoned out by Disruptor, though. So, yeah, one way of dealing with the wave like this, I think I mentioned this already in this session, is just to push it in as far as possible, as fast as possible, so it can start getting hit by their tower and rubber band back to you. Yeah, at this point, auto attacking down your own creeps isn't going to do much. So you just have to auto attack down the enemy creeps, so the tower can auto attack down your own creeps. And while it's under tower, don't neglect trying to go for denies. They don't really have a lot of nuke slash stun on their team, and you've got a level advantage over them at this point. So just be careful about accidentally right-clicking the enemy heroes while it's under tower, and keep going for these denies, because, I mean, this is a pretty juicy amount of XP for this Monkey King slash Ricky, so don't let them just get it for free. Plus, you might just get a kinetic field and you're able to spin down Monkey, since he's running pretty low. You didn't let them run into the tower? Alright. Oh yeah, so, you know how tower aggro works? No, I mean, like, you can prevent from taking tower shots in the first place if you know how it works. No, the creeps and heroes actually have the same priority. I mean, they do, but they don't. But essentially, the reason why you got attacked by the tower there and not like a creep here or creeps here is because you were the closest thing, and you were also it doesn't even matter if you're uh, like you were attacking the tower and you were the closest thing. So you gotta watch for how much HP your creep has, and then just when it's about to die, you need to stop being the closest thing. So if you just, instead of attack there, backed up to here and stopped attacking until it started hitting this, you could have stopped attacking for like less than half a second and continued attacking while it switched. And the way that do you know how to get this view of the tower's attack priority in game already? Hold on, I think we're having some kind of connection issues with the call. I think you are. Let's redo the call here. Well, just try talking like a sentence. Alright, fine. Alright, so yeah, pretty much it's going to be the closest thing to the tower is going to be the next thing that it hits. The only exception is going to be if you're a hero and you're attacking another hero under tower, the next tower shot is going to be attacking you. So, other than that, if you feel like a tower is ever randomly attacking you, it's probably just because you're the closest thing and you're not allowing a creep be a buffer between you and tower shots. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you come up here, they'll just attack you. If it was a different position, like say the melee creeps were meeting here and the tower was hitting your creeps, you know, just say the melee creeps met here instead of back here. Going for the denies would have been right. But walking up behind their tower to go for these, and you don't have your support, they're going for a pull. Probably just putting yourself into too aggressive of a position, especially when nobody has boots yet. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where they can just auto attack you for free and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, and you are Jug, but you're level 2 Jug with a 42-second Blade Fury, so you don't want to be playing that aggressive this early. At this point, probably try going for this deny, but it just walked up a bit. Really not much you can do about that. Now they got another level. That changes the lane pretty significantly. They've got a lot more damage now. Plus Monkey King can trade. Okay, never mind. But you're not going to know that he went for Boundless Strike instead of Jingu. So you just gotta be careful here. Um, so how well do you know last hitting under tower? Well, there's a certain way to last hit under tower that makes it easier to with a higher success rate. Alright. So it's kind of a little mechanically involved in that you've got to do a couple things at once. So what you want to do is let the tower hit the creep twice, and then check the creep's HP. So this melee just got hit twice. And if it's above 350, then you're going to need to hit it without the quelling blade. So at this point, you drop the quelling blade and you hit once, and then the tower will hit a couple more times, and you'll be able to get the last hit. But at this point, if the tower just keeps hitting and you try to go for the last hit, you're not going to get it. Well, you actually got some high rolls, but you can reduce the amount of time where it's just going to be a matter of luck whether you get that last hit. But you can reduce the amount of luck involved. So yeah, if it's above 350, hit it. Otherwise, the tower will just hit it 5 times, and you'll be able to hit the last hit and get it every time. If it's below 350, after 2 hits. But if it's like 360, it's just going to be a matter of luck whether you can get it or not. With 76 damage. If you got 80 damage or above, however, you can just have the tower hit it 5 times and get the last hit. We can go more in depth, and I can show you a video on last hitting under tower, make it easier. And this is something that you can practice with like custom games. But I mean, you can't get it's impossible to get every single CS under tower all the time forever. And if you mess up one, then you're more liable to mess up the next one. And if it's creeps versus creeps under tower, you pretty much just need to, at the last second possible after the tower hits, try to get it. I mean, it's really, when there's creeps hitting each other and tower hitting, it's more of an art than a science, really. Pressing the wrong button to unpause. And with range creeps, you just hit them once with no calling, and then the tower will hit it twice, and then you can blast it. And you don't necessarily even. It's good to drop the quelling and then hit it once really quick, and then pick it right back up. That's something you can practice in one of those custom game lobbies. That's like if you learn that skill and implement it into your gameplay, you'll just get more CS in the laning stage just for practicing something like that. So it's definitely worth it. We can probably speed this up. Yeah, so it's fine that you're trying to put pressure on the Monkey King, and hold on a sec. Oh, and you actually get him, and you get about 180 gold, more or less. But you ended up missing about 4 CS for this, which is it's the same gold, except this wasn't guaranteed, but this was guaranteed. And also, you could have been auto attack denying this creep, and maybe another creep would be low enough for you to start auto attack denying. At this point, if you don't start paying attention to this immediately, the equilibrium is going to be out of whack again. Because you went for this, I mean, you also missed some CS, and it just wasn't guaranteed. It just, what if you chopped the wrong tree by accident, even though you knew which tree it was? What if you didn't know which tree? You know, what if he just backed off instead of being a greedy fuck? You know, that's just, it ended up working out, but in reality, that's a low percentage play. Yeah, pretty much the way that you want to look at your safe lane is, what are they doing? Are they preventing me from getting CS and getting denies? If the answer is no to that last question, you just don't care what's going on. If you're just getting last hits and getting denies, and they're just doing some clowny shit over here, standing in trees, then you just don't care about that. If the support's being gone on, and you're going to miss more than exactly 1 CS, and you're not going to get a kill, then you just let your support make space for you. I mean, if your support's telling you to do wrong things, all you gotta do is just mute them. But if your support's getting caught out like that, uh, then it really hinders you in the amount of CS and denies that you can get in order to elevate your level advantage and get up your basic items. So, and especially since you don't have boots yet, this Monkey King has a move speed advantage on you still. It's going to be, plus he's got Tree Dance, so it's going to be tough. If your support gets caught out, generally speaking, you don't go in and sacrifice yourself in any way, because that's happening as a carry. At this point, you can probably just buy your boots. You put your TP in your backpack and buy the boots. Yeah, see, because you went for that Monkey King, now there's 3 range creeps again. And because there's 3 range creeps like this, what ends up happening is Monkey King sees this and says, okay, it's actually fine that I died, because now there's a huge wave pushing in, and I'm going to get level 3 now. But if you had the wave like right here, and you were auto attack denying and getting last hits like right here, and then you decide to go for this when the wave was pushing in slightly, and you didn't miss and you missed like 1 CS for it, or you didn't miss any CS for it, then not only would have been the right choice to go for that monkey there and put a bit of pressure on him just by quelling blading trees, but it would have further further the gap in between you and him, but instead he's like, instead of you having a 2 level advantage on him, after this creep wave, what the creeps on the screen here die, it's just going to be like a one level advantage still. Makes a big difference in lane, and especially uh, in a lane as Jug. If you get level 6 when they're still level 3 or 4, then it just becomes unlaneable for them. They can't walk up, or else they're just getting hit by probably some phase boots or power treads Jug, or they're getting like spun down, or they're just getting omni slashed. So if you're focusing on getting these denies and keeping the creep equilibrium like this, you're going to enable yourself to have that level advantage and become much more of a threat in lanes like this. Because at the end of the day, the way that most carries win lanes is purely based off of getting denies and having the creep equilibrium in the right spot. Especially since most of these carries, they aren't like the strongest lane presence heroes. Like Jug, for instance, all he can do is just spin, and he can't really do that because he's not the fastest hero in the game. A lot of like I'd probably say about half of offlaners, give or take, have a move speed advantage over Jug. So his lane presence is just minimal without a support being able to zone out a little. So until he gets that level advantage, he's really not going to have that much of a presence in lanes. And the way that you do that is by ensuring that the creep equilibrium is in your favor and ensuring that you're getting those denies. Like right now, you only have 1 deny. You could have much more denies, especially in this lane where you pretty much haven't been getting pressured at all. You still have the same regen that you had at minute 0. You haven't even been forced to use 1 tango yet. What's that? I don't know what's going on with this. It's cutting off a little bit. I think it might have something to do with your voice activity. You think you could try using push to talk and see if that fixes what I'm hearing? Alright. Try saying something. Yeah, I think that sounds a lot better. I think it was the voice activity that was making you strange to understand. Alright, so where were we? Right, the lane equal. Yeah, something that will help with your ability to keep the lane equilibrium is either by using the courier to send yourself a wraith band, uh, plus the Sage's mask at this point. I think you almost have enough gold for wraith band plus Sage's, or just go over here and buy yourself a band of Elven skin. Gives you 6 more damage and I think like 7.5 attack speed. It's going to make a big difference. I mean, just imagine Jug with 60 base damage. It's going to make a lot of big difference in being able to auto attack deny. Um, but right now you've just got 700 gold. That's just sitting in your bank. You gotta be. You pretty much just look at the courier, and if it's not being used, then you send yourself the Wraith Band. If it is being used, then you go over here and you get the Band of Elven skin as a. Unless you need the boots right there and then. Which, in this lane, I'd say you don't. So, just make sure you're spending your gold. Especially when you have the opportunity to go to the side shop. Yeah, if you just didn't let. And make sure you're using push to talk, by the way, if you want to say something. But in this lane, if you just. Like, the creep equilibrium just went completely out of whack twice now. And as a result, instead of them being barely level 2, they're both level 3. Uh, Ricky closing in on 3.5 even. So, and even right now, the equilibrium is a precarious situation. Yeah, it's just getting into that tower range. The way that you can prevent this from happening, and you can't do it every time, and you definitely can't do it versus Monkey King who has a Jingu uh, up. I guess you just couldn't have done it here. But I'll show you what I'm alluding to anyway. You can do it against most offlaners, which is just to kite these creeps in front of the tower and ensure that creeps end up meeting like right here. Got regen to spare, and you've got boots. But against the Monkey King, you don't want to just give him a free Jingu stack. What were you going to ask? Yeah, you just want the wave to be in a position where you can, where there's not too much to wrap around you, but also you can go to the side shop and not miss a CS. So that's why you want it to be right around here. And plus, if in a higher level game, you want it to be here so you can prevent um, a large camp from being pulled by the enemy. I mean, they're probably not going to do it, but as you go up higher, it'll happen. The way that you prevent it is by having the creeps meet right here. So you can just walk over and prevent it from happening. I don't know if you've ever had to deal with that, but it's really annoying, right? It just messes everything up. So you just have to prevent it from happening in the first place. Yeah, you just don't want that to happen. So even if it's unlikely to happen, at any point in time, these guys could say, "Hey, haven't I seen somebody pull this camp before? Let me try doing it." It could happen. So you just watch out for it. And whenever your support pulls, you also need to just monitor, are these are these creeps dying or not. They ended up dying just fine, but it didn't happen that quick that your disruptor could get back into lane and start zoning them out. So because he was in that position, he took a bit of harass. Um, yeah, make sure you're de-aggroing, because if this range creep was just attacking this melee the whole time, it'd be at half health. You could auto attack it down and maybe even kill this creep. But because you were letting the range creep hit you the whole time, this creep isn't going to die. As a result, this one isn't going to die. So we're back to having multiple range creeps again. At this point, it's at like level 2, it's probably fine to start spinning on them like that. It's barely not. I don't know. You weren't really in the side shop for any particular reason. Probably could have been up there and got a few right clicks off, especially since you have boots and he doesn't. Yeah, yeah, you definitely should have been in position there. I mean, let's go over that again. Alright, so you spin on him. He takes most of his HP. You've got boots, he doesn't. Right click him once, back off. Not really anything you can do at this point. Then your disruptor comes in, and part of this is you gotta know the capabilities of the hero that's in your lane with you. So you probably didn't expect the disruptor to thunderstrike this guy and glimpse him back. And you just gotta expect that people are going to play their heroes correctly. And watch out for them doing it. Yeah, I think this, yeah, it starts at 600, which is the same as his auto attack. Then it gets 400 more next level. So this is enough range. Sure. I don't know if you, does he use glimpse? Yeah. Alright, so he uses glimpse, uses his thunderstrike, uses kinetic field. But you're back here. Can't really buy anything at the side shop right now. I mean, you could, but you'd have to replace probably the healing salve into your backpack, or either the elven skin or the gloves of haste. But you gotta do that quickly. You don't want to be spending time in the side shop. So you just kind of backed off for no reason here. And maybe you were overestimating the Monkey King, or said you underestimated Disruptor's range. Well, now you know that next time you lane with a Disruptor, far, how much Glimpse scales. Even level 2 Glimpse is so much more powerful than the level 1. So And this will happen a lot. Disruptor. They'll just catch somebody at level some uh, or around there. Like this is one of Disruptor's power spikes. He's got all three of his skills. He's got the level 2 glimpse. Yeah, you never want to go stray too far away from the creep wave because there's always a chance that you're drawing aggro and getting last hits that way. Unless there's unless it's possible for them to just run you down, you don't want to just back off randomly like this. Yeah, if you just right-clicked him one time, maybe you even get a crit and he just dies right there and you get the kill. But if it's just a regular right-click, he goes down to Disruptor. Uh, so do you, in general, want to do like more specific uh, stuff in these sessions, or more general? All right, and this is how you get it down by playing the lane better. Like I think the people um, on like Learn Dota 2 were just weren't being very specific. Like just learn how to farm. Right. Well, you just this is actually like this lane is a lot easier than it should be, just because this Monkey King like misskilled, fed for no reason, and such. Didn't start out with a lot of regen. Start out with a stout shield. Um, but you still like it's 5 minutes, 5 6 minutes in, and you've only used one tango. Like that would be, in my eyes, classified as one of the easiest lanes of all time. Just like you've been pressured like pretty much not at all. He hasn't even gone for the full Jingo stacks on you. Not even once. All right. So at this point, um, I think I know what you're saying. Like you feel like your lane was fine, but your rotations in the mid game were game losing, something like that. Yeah, pretty much. There's you could have gotten so much more CS in this. Like you could have gotten like, every single CS and majority of denies with the amount that they were actually pressuring you. And what they're saying on that subreddit definitely has merit, but it's the way that they say it is kind of tone deaf. Yeah, so the way that you can do that, just you can just do drills essentially. And you can use the last hit challenge training. You can also use some custom game. Um, I don't know any of the names of them right now. Yeah, you can just use a regular Dota lobby as well. I mean, there's no reason to really practice against bots like that. You're probably better off just practicing without anybody because in this specific circumstance, the fact that Monkey King and Ricky are here isn't impacting the amount that you're getting CS beyond like a small percentage of the time. So if you're just in a lobby and practicing keeping your equilibrium around here, so you can get to the side shop and such, then it practically doesn't make a difference between that, like a lobby 1v0 and a lane versus this particular Monkey King and Ricky, because it's 6 minutes in, they're versus a Jug, and they've only forced out one tango. Like I would have used more regen in a 1v0 at this point. So I don't know. I don't want to overload you too much on just the laning stage because we could go like at 0.25 speed for the entire laning stage, and I doubt there would ever be that much pause for thought if I just kept talking. So let's say we focused on the laning stage enough for now. Gave you a few ideas to practice and to few concepts to implement, and we can look at the rest of the game. Is that okay? Yeah, essentially. All right, so yeah, let's stop focusing on some micro stuff and focus on macro from this point on. I think I've given you enough to think about micro-wise. Alright, so at this point you've got Power Treads, you've got Blade Fury level 3, and as time goes on you're going to want to be in this lane less and less, because the Monkey King just, by nature of being Monkey King, gets stronger and stronger with levels. Ricky, he's just here. Um, so what you want to do is, tread switch to int, spin down the wave, then you can go do these jungle camps, starting at level 5 in treads, or level 5 in Aquila. It's really the difference between, are you powerful enough to reach this tower with siege creep, or are you just going to start focusing on farm efficiency? And the fact that you're not really at the highest level advantage versus these guys that you could have been, and the fact that you miss some CS leads to you not having treads plus Aquila. So there are conditions that can be met in this particular lane where you can push the tower with this first catapult and take the tower. But you played the lane slightly wrong. If you just got more denies and last hits, you'd had the Aquila at this point, and you would be closing in on your level 6 Um, just from the extra XP from the denies. But right now, you're just not strong enough to go up against these two heroes plus the tower, even with a catapult. So right now, you just want to be spinning down these waves, since you're strong enough to just kill the creep wave in one spell usage. Yeah. And you've got this extra regen, so it's okay that you've got your Blade Dance at level 2. But generally speaking, you're going to want to just leave this at level 1, because the extra 5% just really doesn't make a difference over having your healing ward. And you've yeah, but this is where it comes in handy. Spinning down the wave, then farming this camp and this camp, and you can use your healing ward plus your extra regen just to stay topped off. But see what you do. Yeah, I think it's a mistake. Yeah, see, you can't just lane against these guys at this point. You're not strong enough to just stay in lane versus both of them like this. So that's where you just need to spin the wave. Yeah. So as like it's like I was saying earlier, as time goes on, you're not going to want to stay in lane versus these guys because you don't win the lane forever. And they just showed you exactly what I was talking about right then and there. So you're forced to use your second tango of the game by them right clicking like that. And now you're probably thinking, oh, they're stronger than I thought. So that just that just means in order to get out of lane, there's a few things that you can do if you're against lane that you don't want to be in. And that's your hero that has wave clear, you can just clear the wave and go jungle. But if you're a hero that doesn't have wave clear, then you can't just walk up to the creeps and expect to just auto attack them down. There's a Monkey King and Ricky auto attacking you at the same time. So you pretty much just need to leave and go up here. But that's not the case here. You're just going to want to spin and go to the creeps. Like, you want to give them something to deal with. By pushing these creeps in, you want them to think, do I go for these creeps or do I go for the Jug who just went jungle? And if it's under their tower, then they have to go for the creeps. That's just the better play for them. So you could just leave lane and go into the jungle, but then they're wondering where's Jug, instead of having to deal with the creeps knocking at their tower and then worrying about Jug at the same time. I think I'm just saying the same thing over and over. My bad. Yeah, keep them occupied. But at this point, they see you, you see them, you've got a full mana pool and you've got a Blade Fury, but you're just not using the Blade Fury. And I think somebody commented on your post saying that you used Blade Fury wrong at some point. But I'm going to say that the fact that you're not using Blade Fury is what's wrong here. This is just 5-second duration, 130 damage per second that you're just not using. And you're not going to really be able to go for kills here under tower, and it looks like you're dead. Like, there's like no way you get out. Alright. It just all goes back to you not spinning down the wave though. It's, how do I explain this? The point at which you want to start pushing out the wave and rotating into the jungle is the point at which you're strong enough to do it. So on Jug specifically, you're strong enough when you've got power treads plus level 3 Blade Fury. And it's not going to be correct to do that every time. Say against heroes that have a massive power spike at level 6, like I don't know, a Clockwork or a Brewmaster, Beastmaster or something. Then maybe you just want to stay in lane and getting as many denies as you can to delay their level 6 as long as possible. But against Ricky Monkey King, do you really care that these guys have a level 6? Like, aren't they already pretty threatening to you? Yeah. So, you are strong enough to push out the wave and then go into the jungle. So you might as well just do it since you're actually losing foothold in this lane rather than gaining it over time. So at this point, the same thing is pretty much going to happen, unless you get level 6 here and go for a kill on Monkey or something. But we've got 6 now. Now you've got threat on the Monkey. But this level 6, it's pretty late because you died right there, as well as the fact that you don't have nearly as many denies as you could have. The Disruptor was also leeching a lot of your XP, but you would still get a quite timely level 6 if you're getting more denies. Yeah, you just need to be using this resource. You're at full mana the whole time. You've got the Tread Switch, you've got the Aquila, you've got some mana, sustain. Just can't be afraid of using a spell. Like, you use this spell, and then what? You're afraid of the Monkey King stun or something? Like a 0.8 second stun duration. It's only going to make a difference if he already has the Jingu stacks up so he can get the bonus crit. You're just not really afraid of them going on you and nuking you and stun locking you. It's more so them just starting to right click you down, but they can't really do that because you have 6. I'm just saying the same thing over and over. Yeah, and me talking about it over and over isn't going to fix it. This game that already happened. Let's just see what happens. I don't comment on it. Um, alright, let's watch that back. Got vision of the Pudge. Got a lot of HP though. Yeah, you went way overboard with this blade dance. A lot of damage here. Dodge the hook. Alright, so yeah, you had to use your ult there to dodge the hook. It was pretty sick play actually. If you don't dodge the hook there, you're just dead. Salve up. Alright, this was fine. But you kind of put yourself into a bad situation by spinning onto the Ricky and just letting the Monkey King hit you. You should have saw that Ricky was level 6. So with this, you're not going to kill him using your ult unless he messes up. And you're not going to be able to just spin him down because he can just ult. Then you're taking damage and not taking damage. So it's just kind of hard to, once Ricky has 6, if he has his ult off cooldown, it's kind of difficult to just go on him like that. Especially since between the two of you, there's 0 stuns whatsoever. So at this point, and maybe like a few minutes earlier, I think once you had level 6, and instead of having these 2 extra points in Blade Dance, having 2 points in Healing Ward, you could have just came up here and helped your team push down towers. It's not even that. It's more like you're looking at this lane and it's not getting any better for you, it's getting worse. So you got to start thinking, what's my move? Am I just pushing out the lane with Blade Fury and farming my own jungle? Or am I rotating up here and helping my team push down towers with my Aquila plus my ultimate, as well as the healing ward? Like you don't have to just stay in lane until you get Battle Fury. You can definitely start being more active. And guys have some weird builds, but you can definitely help them up here with your healing ward, and you're up here with the Lycan, definitely. Fuck. I don't know what's going on, but you can't just stay in this lane forever because it's benefiting the Ricky and the Monkey more than you staying in lane. So at this point, you're just, I'd argue you're just on the wrong side of the map because you're not getting this tower. The next objective that's possible for you to get is this one. So you just want to be up here. Yeah. So, just imagine you're up here instead, just, even farming these camps and, I don't know, waiting for like an ult back up, waiting for Timber to get level 7 so he can skill his ultimate. Uh, and you can just dive this Slark under tower, and pressure on this tower with your. But instead, you're letting them the upper hand by going on you first. And I mean, if you leave this lane, is this tower going to go down? Probably not. You could just make sure that their catapult dies at the 10-minute mark, and then you have the next 5 minutes to spend up here pressuring this tower, pressuring whoever's in this lane. And you really don't have to worry about your tower going down. There's no catapult, and none of these heroes really do any tower damage. Except Slark when he has some stacks up, but it's early for that. Zeus isn't going to come in and. Yeah, you actually missed an opportunity here to just spin TP. The Pudge is still level 5. So you could have spun and TP'd top, and the actual hook mini stun doesn't go through magic immunity. It does still pull you, but there's a mini stun on hook normally that doesn't go through magic immunity. So even though there's 4 heroes here, it was still possible for you to TP out. And that's just a result of you being macro-wise just on the wrong side of the map. This is much easier to gank. They come in this way, over the trees, from the lane. Like, there's just so many different angles of attack that at the, 10 to 15 minute mark, it's just going to end up that there's, 4 or 3 people here that are just going to try to kill you in most games. I'm sure you've experienced this kind of rotation in the past. And the way that you counteract that is just try to predict that it'll happen and just TP up here. And that's it. It's very easy to avoid. Especially, they're not going to expect that you read that they're coming down with 4 and just TPing up here. So what's going to end up happening is they're going to be down here and you're going to be up here, and they're just going to try to slowly push this tower. They're not going to, because this is their objective right now. As a carry player, you need to be thinking, what's the enemy's objective here, and then you just need to go on the opposite side of the map away from it, so you can get farm up. You don't want them to be able to make a move with tempo like this, where this is their objective anyway. So don't put yourself into a position where they can gank you and put some pressure on their objective at the same time, making some kind of move tempo. And essentially, and the way that you can guide where to be is which objective is my enemy going to want to take, given that they're not complete morons. The answer would be this tower. Yeah, you could have just TP'd here and pushed this out. Push this wave in, push that wave in, then rotate it into the jungle, get some camps over here. I mean, you're pretty much already going to know that there's not going to be anybody in their own jungle, except Slark maybe. But with Blade Fury and level 1 Essence Shift, you just don't really have to worry about Slark as Jug. Later on, he becomes a little bit harder to deal with. But right now, most of his damage is just Dark Pact, which hurts him as well as you. But you can just disable his ability to hurt you. So he just can't man up on you at this point. The Slark, I mean. So we've already established that you mostly want to be like either relieving pressure mid or pressuring top. But instead you go back bottom. Yeah. See, that's a problem. Just identify what their objective is and go on the opposite side of the map as carry. It's a good rule of thumb. You could have even like walked up here and then you'd have your TP ready if they wanted to come fight underneath this tower and fight your team. You could say, hey team, let's defend this tower. I've got a TP. You guys defend, I can TP in. Yeah, just come up here, spin down the wave, clear this camp, clear this camp. You know, maybe if you don't feel too safe, you back off and you clear these camps. But essentially, in the mid game, you don't want to be TPing to the lane from base at any rate. You want to be using, yeah. The way that you want to think about your teleport scroll is, it's like a mini ultimate ability with an 80-second cooldown that gives you the ability to go from one side of the map to the other in 3 seconds. So you can't waste that 80-second cooldown. So yeah, like a TP like this, if you're constantly making a TP that doesn't accomplish anything, then it's going to bite you in the ass at some point. Yeah, so if you walked up here and relieved the pressure from Slark, you wouldn't be getting any damage on this tower right now. Could have pushed this out and walked mid and pushed that out, even. Definitely make sure you're using your Blade Fury though. You don't really have to be saving it here, because they, not only are they pretty light on stuns, but you can just walk away from the majority of these heroes without really worrying about them chasing you down. Alright, so you guys took a really good fight here. I'm not really going to go too much into the details, other than if you were playing a little bit better and you didn't die, you'd have the level 2 ult and you would have killed people a lot faster in that fight. But other than that, I don't think there's really much to say about that fight. You guys just took a fight in the right place at the right time. You TP'd down. This was a good TP, I say, because the choice is stay mid and get this tier 2 tower. But if you don't TP down here, then you lose this because there's a catapult. So the way that you decide to TP down here or not, I'd say is entirely dependent on whether or not there's a catapult. If it's just a creep wave plus the Monkey King hitting the tower, I'd say take this tower and then TP back. Or take this tower and ignore this one and go up here. But since there is a catapult, there's no reason to just let this go down for free. So this is a good TP. Yeah, like anytime, it's fine to just right click down a wave if you have Battle Fury. But since you don't have Battle Fury, you need to be using your Blade Fury offensively to spin down these waves. It just speeds up the creep wave getting into this tower, speeds up this tower dying by a few seconds. Like maybe what needed to happen was these guys die here, and that gives you guys just enough time to get this tower because they're going to rotate down here immediately after. But that's not the case. I'm just giving you like a hypothetical, which is why if you spun down the wave, these extra couple seconds can be the difference between tower getting denied and you guys just take. Pretty much can't keep going though. This is where you want to be over here. So your TP is off cooldown at this point, I think. Maybe not. Replay, yeah, the replay doesn't show it too well. Okay. Don't have a TP. So, in terms of what your next objective here is, and in terms of what their next objective is, at this point, their next objective would be this tower still, and yours is this tower, because this one is much easier to take than this one. And the reason for that is they've got a shrine they can TP to here. Their tier 3 is quite close. So it's a lot easier for them to TP in to defend this tower, because all these three are reasonably close together. They can TP, like this Slark could TP down, or whatever. And plus their next objective's here, so they want to be on this side of the map anyway. Which makes this tower difficult for your team to go for. But this one, you already have some map control with this ward. You could go in and get even more with this ward. And there's multiple angles of attack. This is like about the same distance away from the shrine. But the difference is this tier 3 tower is like double the distance. So it just makes wrapping around much easier. As well as the fact that this is a little bit more open than this area. Like, it's the equivalent of if there was a ramp right here. Pretty much. So, yeah, if your team just rotated up here as 5 and pushed this tower, it would go down. But instead, you guys are pretty much all just in your own jungle. And Lycan will probably head up here. But at this point, everybody should. But at the very least, you should. And the way that you do that is, since you don't have TP up yet, you can just farm your way there through the jungle. Just every time you pass a creep camp, you just clear it. And just make your way there. Like, instead of farming this camp and then heading to this one. Well, I think in this case, it's probably fine to spin down this wave and then leave. But I mean, you can reasonably say, since there's nobody at this creep wave, and there's nobody showing on this ward behind Slark, that they're all going to be around here. So this isn't actually safe for you to go for. Finish my thought from earlier. The way that you use jungle farm is you just do it in between where you're heading from one area to the next, or you just do it when the choice is farm a jungle camp or just sit around and do nothing. You don't prioritize the jungle camps. But yeah, it's fine to utilize the jungle, like go from this camp to this one, to that one, this one to this one, to the lane, since it's not going to be in the tower immediately. But you want to arrive at this tower at around the same time that the creeps are arriving on the enemy team. So just kind of do enough jungle camps and a mix of walking to get there in time, essentially. So Lycan ends up coming up here and occupying this position. But I want to argue that you're the one who wants to do it, because this is the best farm on the map right here. Just pushing this in and taking these camps. Yeah, it's not, but if you just position yourself to get the most impactful farm, while also being the most survivable, like, this Lycan's pretty survivable, sure, but he has to commit his entire ult. It's much better for you to be up here in this position, pressuring this tower, because you can always just spin TP out. Unless you're just getting smoke clouded by Ricky. But even then, they just, at this point, don't have enough damage to kill you through spin. So, whenever you're in a situation like this on Jug where they don't have anything that goes through magic immunity, at least if Pudge isn't there to dismember you, you have to watch out for that and try to keep an eye on where the Pudge is on the map. But you can just cut these creep waves up here behind their tower and go back and farm these camps in the jungle instead of just being in your own jungle already here for the fight. And like, you didn't even have your Omni Slash up until this point, so you don't want to be on the side of the map where the fight's going to happen until the fight actually starts. And even then, you don't want to show up at all unless you have Omni. So you've got Omni, but you're running away from the fight at this point. Because you just don't want to take it. You're down your Disruptor. He didn't get his ult off. Pretty much don't want to go into this point. Probably see Ricky T back. I don't know, you just don't want to fight this. It's better if you guys are just up here taking this tower rather than defending this. And it looks like you do actually make your way up here. Getting a TP, it looks like. Alright. So you do get into the right position, but I would say you got into this position a little bit too late. Should have been here earlier. So this is where you want to be. You want to be pressuring this lane, the TP with the Omni Slash ready to come in and turn a fight. Push the lane in and back off. Just be mindful of the change to the bounty runes every 5 minutes. These bounty runes are pretty impactful. It would have been worth testing the Pudge, especially since you got this level ult. Straight up kill him with the ult plus spin. Maybe one or two auto attacks. Try to keep the timing in mind. I'm still getting used to it. But you kind of took like more of a safe retreat path, like a safer retreat path than you had to take by going like this. Could have just gone like this, farm the camp, then go like this, farm the camp, wait for the creep wave to come into your tower. Like sometimes it is correct to make this move, but you don't really have to worry about their team too much, so it's better for you to take the more aggressive route. What you're doing here is just fine. The only thing is, you gotta watch out for, you know, overextending. Yeah, you have to, in any given game of Juggernaut, you have to keep in mind who you can Omni Slash and who you can't. Yeah, but it's such a short cooldown. Any ultimate that's a shorter cooldown than TP, it might as well just have no cooldown because it's just always up, pretty much. Like you can take advantage of windows like that, but they're difficult windows to take advantage of. Like taking advantage of, say, like Kunkka not having boat, something like that. Just such a small window of time. It takes a lot of coordination in order to do it. Yeah, so heroes that just have an escape or have some way of becoming invisible or something like that, or going off the map. It's really difficult to Omni Slash those guys. You've got Ricky Tricks of the Trade, you've got Slark with his ult, like Dark Willow with her W, or Shadow Demon, Disruption, OD Disruption, stuff like that. All quite difficult to use Omni Slash against. And on top of that, you need to keep in mind things like Yule Scepter, Ghost Scepter. Even a well-timed Force Staff can break your Omni. Pretty difficult. There's a lot of counterplay to Omni Slashes. So you generally need to wait until it's a good opportunity to Omni Slash, or you have to Omni Slash because they're starting to focus you. So either use it like offensively to get to do damage to get a kill, or use it defensively to kind of shake them off if they're starting to focus you, or use it to dodge a spell like you did down here to dodge that hook. But in general, you probably want to be a bit more patient than that. Like imagine you wait until Slark uses Pounce and uses his ult, and you've got some detection. Well, you don't got Dust, but that's not really good enough versus Slark. Yeah, just prioritize pushing out lanes. It's kind of made this weird rotation like this when you could have just been going up to this wave, pushing it out. The reason why you need to prioritize pushing out these lanes is when there is a fight, they don't want to, like, you need to make them choose between taking damage on their tower or taking a fight. Yeah. Yeah, but this is a good fight for them to take, because if they kill Sniper here, and then they kill a couple more members of your team, they can transition that into a tier 2 tower push. The fact that you, like, it's not really close enough to your shrine for you to TP in, especially since Timber already TP'd. Like, your choice would have to be this tier 2. So what you should have done during this time, remember you, like, this rotation or something? Should have just walked up here. Could have already been hitting this tier 2. And you do make your way there, but this is like, I'd say like 30 seconds too late. It looks like your team actually won that fight. But at the same time, your team won that fight, and then what do they do afterwards? They can't immediately start hitting this tower. They're all the way on the other side of the map from this tower, all the way on the other side of the map from Roche. That's what makes it a bad place to fight for Radiant. It's just difficult to take a fight here and turn it into any kind of objective. I'm guessing the call from your team was to push this tower or something? Is that why you TP'd down here? Yeah, it's just better to take this tower instead. It's just easier to take, plus it's on the same side of the map as Roshan. So what you could do is you could either have this and this lane pushed out and take the Roche and guarantee that you get this tower and maybe even start breaking high ground. Or you take this tower and back off to Roche because you can't break high ground then. But you could take the Aegis and translate that in taking this tower, pushing these two lanes in, controlling this part of the map, and just slowly break high ground that way. But considering Roshan is up, going for this tower is just straight up wrong. Plus you still have a tier 1 up here that you can defend. by being on this side of the map with your team. And you guys eventually come over here, but it's at the cost of your tier 1 already. End up getting a pudge, but if you guys were just pushing this out, or even you, if you forgoed that TP and just push this out, one wave, didn't really present yourself to the pudge slash Slark, this tower would still be alive. You'd be in a slightly better position. Push this, or push this wave out and take Roshan. But you guys are just like missing some windows here, and that's giving the enemy team a way take some good fights. Alright, I kind of want to wrap it up here. I feel like if I keep going, I'm probably just going to give you too much to think about. Yeah. Pretty much. But, you know, it's not like people even do all the stuff that I've mentioned in like at 5K. So just it doesn't matter when you start doing this stuff. Like Banana Slam Jamma, the guy who I learned most of this stuff from, he didn't even start doing all this stuff until like 6 months ago. Even though he's been a 7-8K player for how long? Yeah, so it's never too late to start doing this stuff. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going forward, I'd say like 2 questions. If you could just do this from now on, ask yourself what my next objective is, and then ask yourself what their next objective is. That'll really help you with positioning yourself around the map. I mean, and it's not going to be the same on every hero. Even in the same role, some heroes are good at defending towers, others aren't. You know, like a Jug, for instance, his ability to defend a tower is if there's nobody there and he's just spinning down the wave. I mean, so you can't really do that if the entire enemy team is just standing there. So, as Jug, your ability to defend towers ultimately becomes you pushing out the wave on the other side of the map, and then maybe TPing in to do slash plus healing ward. As far as the itemization goes, I think that's slightly less important than like the micro of the laning, as well as the macro. I mean, I think this build is pretty much just fine, especially since they don't have too much right click outside of the Monkey King. I guess this Slark is pretty huge at this point. Probably just You're probably just going to want to go for like evasion at this point versus Slark next. Evasion's good versus Ricky, good versus Monkey King and Slark. Very high value evasion game here. So BKB that you're getting doesn't really do that much. Other than that, the items are probably fine. I don't know if you commit to the BKB or not. That's pretty irrelevant. Okay, alright, so I'll talk to you later then. Yeah, no problem. Feel free to message me on Discord whenever if you have any questions.